Dr. Amanda Torres adjusted her blue diplomatic uniform and checked the datapad one more time. The numbers looked good. Trade agreements, mining rights, and shipping lanes all mapped out perfectly. The Galactic Council had spent 6 months preparing for this meeting with the Drakari Empire. Everything had to go right. She walked through the corridors of the research vessel Harmony's Edge. The ship belonged to the Galactic Council, not to humans. Amanda was just one member of a mixed crew. Captain Zethkar was a Vorthani, tall as a tree and made of what looked like living crystal. His body caught the ship's lights and threw rainbows on the walls when he moved. Science Officer Quilp was an Ixari, small and round with 8 tentacles that never stopped moving. Engineer Boomthak was a Kroganti, built like a walking tank with thick armor plates covering his body. Amanda liked working with aliens. They saw problems differently than humans did. That made the team stronger. But today felt different. Today, they were meeting the Drakari. The Drakari Empire controlled 12 star systems. They had big ships and bigger attitudes. Most species in the galaxy either feared them or avoided them. The Galactic Council wanted to make peace with them. Trade was better than war. Everyone knew that. Everyone except maybe the Drakari. Amanda entered the main conference room. The table was long and made of polished metal. Chairs of different sizes lined both sides. Some chairs were built for creatures with tails. Others had special supports for wings or tentacles. The human chair looked simple compared to the others. Captain Zethkar was already there. His crystal body hummed softly, which meant he was nervous. "Dr. Torres, are you ready for this meeting?" "As ready as anyone can be," Amanda said. She sat down and placed her datapad on the table. "The trade offers are fair. Both sides will benefit. The Drakari should accept them." Science Officer Quilp entered the room. His tentacles carried several electronic devices. "I have been studying Drakari culture," he said. His voice sounded like water bubbling. "They value strength above all else. They may test us before they negotiate." "What kind of tests?" Amanda asked. "Insults. Threats. They want to see if we will fight back or run away." Engineer Boomthak stomped into the room. His heavy feet made the floor shake. "If they want to fight, they can have one," he growled. His people were warriors. They understood conflict. "No fighting," Captain Zethkar said firmly. "We are here for peace talks. Dr. Torres will handle the negotiations." Amanda nodded. She had done this before. Angry aliens were nothing new. Every species had their own way of showing dominance. The trick was staying calm and professional. Never take it personally. Never lose control. The ship's communication system buzzed. "Captain, the Drakari vessel is approaching," came the voice from the bridge. Through the conference room's large window, Amanda could see the Drakari ship. It was twice the size of Harmony's Edge and covered in weapon ports. The hull was dark, red, almost black. It looked like a giant predator moving through space. "They certainly want to make an impression," Quilp observed. His tentacles twitched nervously. The Drakari ship docked with a loud clang that shook the walls. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors. Amanda straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. She had negotiated with over 30 different species. The Drakari were just one more entry in her files. The conference room doors opened. 3 Drakari entered. They were tall, maybe 7 feet each, with scales that looked like black armor. Their eyes were yellow and cold. Sharp teeth showed when they spoke. The leader wore more decorations than the others. Gold bands circled his arms. A red cape hung from his shoulders. "I am War Prince Scarth of the Drakari Empire," the leader announced. His voice was deep and rough. "These are my advisors, Commander Vex and General Court." Captain Zethkar stood. His crystal body chimed politely. "Welcome aboard Harmony's Edge. I am Captain Zethkar. This is Science Officer Quilp, Engineer Boomthak, and our diplomatic specialist, Dr. Amanda Torres." War Prince Scarth looked at each alien crew member. Then his yellow eyes focused on Amanda. "A human. How interesting. I have heard about your species. They say you are weak. Amanda smiled pleasantly. We prefer to think of ourselves as practical. Please have a seat. We have prepared several trade proposals that should benefit both our peoples. The Drakari sat down heavily. Their chairs creaked under their weight. War Prince Scarth leaned back and studied the humans across from him. Benefit both peoples. The Drakari Empire takes what it needs. We do not beg for scraps. Of course not, Amanda agreed. She activated her datapad. A holographic display appeared above the table showing star charts and trade routes. These are not scraps, these are partnerships. Your empire has resources we need. We have technology you could use. Fair exchange. Commander Vex snorted. Fair? Nothing is fair in the galaxy. The strong take from the weak. That is the natural order. Perhaps, Amanda said calmly. But cooperation makes everyone stronger. Look at these numbers. She gestured to the display. Joint mining operations in the Kepler sector would increase output by 40%. Shared shipping routes would cut transport costs in half. Narrow. Court slammed his fist on the table. The metal rang like a bell. Numbers, charts, weakling talk. The Drakari Empire needs no partners. We take what we want. Amanda's smile never changed. Her voice stayed level and professional. I understand your position, but taking things by force is expensive. Ships get damaged, people get hurt, resources get wasted. Trade is more efficient. War Prince Scarth laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. Efficient? You sound like a merchant, not a warrior. No wonder your species is considered weak. The other aliens at the table shifted uncomfortably. Captain Zethkar's crystal body dimmed. Quilp's tentacles curled tight. Boomthak's armor plates clinked as his muscles tensed. Amanda just nodded. Weakness and strength take many forms. A merchant who feeds his family is stronger than a warrior who starves. Pretty words, Scarth said. But words do not conquer star systems. The Drakari Empire has conquered 12 systems. How many has the human race conquered? We prefer to build rather than conquer, Amanda replied. Her voice was still calm, but something had changed. It was quieter now, more controlled. But we are very good at protecting what we build. The War Prince leaned forward. His yellow eyes gleamed. Protecting? With what? Your small ships, your tiny colonies? The galaxy knows humans are new here, young, inexperienced. Amanda folded her hands on the table. Her knuckles were white, but her face remained pleasant. We may be new, but we learn quickly. Now, about these trade agreements. Trade agreements? Scarth stood up suddenly. His chair scraped against the floor. I grow tired of this talk. The Drakari Empire will take what it wants from human space. Your colonies will serve us or be destroyed. The room went very quiet. Even the hum of the ship's engines seemed to fade. Amanda looked up at the towering War Prince. Her voice, when she spoke, was soft and perfectly controlled. War Prince Scarth, I am beginning to feel a little annoyed. War Prince Scarth stared down at Amanda. His yellow eyes narrowed. Annoyed? What does this word mean? The universal translator in the room hummed for a moment. Then it spoke in the Drakari language. Mild displeasure, small irritation. Scarth laughed again. The human feels mild displeasure. How terrifying. He turned to his advisors. Did you hear that, Commander Vex? The weak little human is mildly displeased. Amanda stood up slowly. Her movements were careful and precise. I think we should take a short break. Perhaps everyone needs time to consider the proposals. Break? General Court snarled. We have considered your proposals, human. They are worthless. The Drakari Empire will take your colonies whether you agree or not. Amanda's smile became smaller. Her voice grew quieter. I see. Well, I should contact my superiors and inform them of your decision. Captain Zethkar's crystal body chimed nervously. Dr. Torres, perhaps we can find a middle ground. The middle ground, Scarth interrupted, is that humans will serve the Drakari Empire. There is no other option. Amanda nodded politely. I understand your position. If you will excuse me for just a few minutes. She walked to the communication panel on the wall. Her fingers moved over the controls with practiced ease. The other aliens in the room watched her carefully. Something felt different about the human diplomat. Her movements were too controlled, too precise. Admiral Morrison, this is Dr. Torres, Amanda said into the communicator. Her voice was still professional, but it had changed. It was flatter now, more direct. A gruff voice answered from the speaker. Torres, what's your status? The Drakari delegation has rejected all trade proposals, Admiral. They are threatening our colonies directly. I am currently experiencing annoyance at level 2. There was a pause on the other end. Torres, did you say level 2 annoyance? Yes, sir. Quite annoyed, actually. Another pause, longer this time. Copy that, Torres. Stand by. Amanda turned back to the conference table. The alien crew members were looking at her strangely. Science Officer Quilp's tentacles moved in quick, nervous patterns. Engineer Boomthak had tilted his massive head to one side, studying her like she was a new type of machine. Is there a problem with your communication? War Prince Scarth asked mockingly. Does the human need permission to surrender? Not at all, Amanda replied. She sat back down and folded her hands again. I was simply reporting our progress to my superiors. Captain Zethkar leaned toward Quilp. His crystal voice was very quiet. Science Officer, have you noticed changes in Dr. Torres's behavior patterns? Quilp's tentacles twitched. Yes, Captain. Her vocal stress indicators have decreased significantly. Her movement patterns have become more economical. This is unusual for humans under stress. What does it mean? I am not certain. Human behavioral data in our files may be incomplete. Meanwhile, throughout the ship, other humans were showing similar changes. In the engine room, Maintenance Chief Bobby Clark was organizing his tools with unusual care. Each wrench, screwdriver, and plasma cutter went into its exact proper place. He hummed quietly while he worked. The tune was slow and steady. An Ixari engineer named Flipped watched Bobby work. Chief Clark, why are you organizing tools now? We have no scheduled maintenance. Bobby looked up. His face was pleasant, but his eyes were different. Focused. Just want everything ready, Flipped. You never know when you might need the right tool for the right job. In the communications center, Lisa Park sat at her console. Her fingers moved over the controls in quick, efficient patterns. She was checking every system twice. Power levels, signal strength, backup channels, everything had to be perfect. Communications Officer Park called Science Officer Quilp through the intercom. Is there a problem with our systems? No problem, sir, Lisa replied. Her voice was clipped and professional. Just running diagnostics, making sure everything works when we need it to. On the security deck, Ryan Cooper was doing exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, stretching. His movements were smooth and controlled. A Kriganti security guard named Thok watched him with interest. Human Cooper, why do you exercise now? It is not your scheduled fitness time. Ryan finished a set of push-ups and stood up. Just staying ready, Thok. Good to be prepared for anything. Back in the conference room, the negotiations continued to fall apart. War Prince Scarth made increasingly aggressive demands. He wanted human colonies to pay tribute to the Drakari Empire. He wanted human ships to carry Drakari cargo for free. He wanted humans to build factories for Drakari use. Amanda listened to each demand with the same calm expression. Her responses became shorter and more direct. That would not be acceptable to my government. Human colonies are sovereign territory. We cannot agree to those terms. Her voice grew quieter with each refusal. The alien crew members noticed the change, but they did not understand what it meant. Commander Vex slammed his scaly fist on the table. Your government will accept what we tell them to accept. The Drakari Empire is not asking for permission. Amanda looked at him steadily. I see. And if we refuse? Then we will take what we want by force, General Court growled. Your small human fleets cannot stop us. Our fleets are adequate for our needs, Amanda said quietly. War Prince Scarth stood up again. His cape swirled around him dramatically. Adequate? Human, do you know how many ships the Drakari Empire commands? Do you know how many worlds we have conquered? I have read the reports, Amanda replied. Her hands were still folded, but her knuckles had gone white again. Then you know resistance is useless. Your colonies will submit or be destroyed. Your choice is simple. Amanda was quiet for a long moment. The room was so silent that everyone could hear the soft hum of the ship's air recyclers. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. War Prince Scarth, I am afraid I am becoming really quite annoyed now. The universal translator worked again. Moderate displeasure increasing to mild irritation. Scarth laughed louder than before. Mild irritation. The human threatens us with mild irritation. But Captain Zethkar was not laughing. His crystal body had stopped humming entirely. Science Officer Quilp's tentacles had gone perfectly still. Even Engineer Boomthak, who understood warfare, felt something cold settle in his armored chest. The humans on the ship had all gone very quiet. Their work continued, but they moved like dancers in a careful ballet. Every action had purpose. Every tool was in the right place. Every system was checked and ready. Amanda stood up one more time. Her movements were economical and precise. Perhaps we should contact both our governments directly. This situation may require higher authority to resolve. She walked back to the communication panel. This time, her fingers moved faster over the controls. Admiral Morrison, this is Torres again. Status update, sir. I am now quite annoyed. Admiral Jack Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the human vessel New Frontier. The ship was hidden behind a large asteroid, its engines cold and systems running silent. Morrison was a veteran of 40 years in space. He had gray hair, old, scars, and eyes that had seen too many battles. Admiral, his communications officer called out. Dr. Torres is reporting level 3 annoyance. Morrison's blood went cold. He had worked with Amanda Torres for 8 years. He had never heard her use that phrase before. In all his years of service, he had only heard 3 humans report level 3 annoyance. Each time, the situation had ended badly for someone. Sound general quarters, Morrison ordered. All departments, this is not a drill. Dr. Torres has reported level 3 annoyance. Repeat, our diplomat is annoyed at level 3. Throughout the New Frontier, alarms began to ring softly. Not the harsh battle alarms that most species used. These were quiet, controlled tones. Humans moved through the corridors with quick, efficient steps. No one ran, no one shouted, but everyone knew exactly what to do. In the weapons bay, Chief Gunner Paul Martinez checked every missile tube twice. His crew moved like a machine, testing circuits and loading systems. Power up the railguns, he ordered quietly. Full charge on all capacitors. In engineering, Commander Kate Sullivan ran diagnostics on the ship's jump drive. All systems green, she reported. We can move anywhere in the system in 30 seconds. On the bridge, Morrison opened a secure channel to other human ships in the area. This is Morrison. Torres reports level 3, execute shadow protocol, all units acknowledge. One by one, voices reported back. Captain Miller from the destroyer Hampton Roads. Commander Chen from the cruiser Liberty Bell. Captain Johnson from the frigate Texas Star. 12 human ships total, all hidden throughout the system. Back aboard Harmony's Edge, the Drakari delegation was getting more aggressive. War Prince Scarth had begun pacing around the conference room. His heavy boots left scratches on the metal floor. Your government moves too slowly, he declared. The Drakari Empire does not wait for weak bureaucrats to make decisions. Amanda sat perfectly still. Her hands remained folded on the table. What would you suggest, War Prince? Simple. You will sign surrender documents now. Your colonies will begin paying tribute immediately. Your ships will transport our goods at no cost. I do not have authority to sign such documents, Amanda said quietly. Commander Vex leaned forward. His yellow eyes gleamed with malice. Then we will contact your colonies directly, with our weapons. Amanda's face did not change expression, but Captain Zethkar noticed that her breathing had become very shallow. Science Officer Quilp saw that her pupils had dilated slightly. Engineer Boomthak, heard that her voice had dropped half an octave. "That would be unfortunate," Amanda said. "Unfortunate. For your colonies," General Court laughed. "The Drakari Empire has destroyed civilizations before. Yours will not be the first." Amanda looked directly at him. "No, unfortunate for you." The three Drakari found this hilarious. They laughed together, their rough voices echoing off the walls. War Prince Scarth wiped tears from his yellow eyes. "Did you hear that?" he gasped. "The little human thinks she can threaten us." But the alien crew members were not laughing. Captain Zethkar's crystal body had gone completely dark. This only happened when he was deeply afraid. Science Officer Quilp had pulled all 8 tentacles close to his body, a defensive posture his species used in extreme danger. Engineer Boomthak had activated his armor's combat systems without realizing it. "Dr. Torres," Captain Zethkar said, carefully, "perhaps we should try a different approach to these negotiations." "I have tried 17 different approaches," Amanda replied. Her voice was now barely above a whisper. "War Prince Scarth has rejected them all. He prefers threats to diplomacy." "Threats work," Scarth declared. "Fear is the only language weak species understand." Amanda stood up very slowly. Every movement was controlled and precise. "War Prince, I need to ask you one more time. Will you consider peaceful trade agreements with the human colonies?" "Never," Scarth spat. "We take what we want. We destroy what resists us." Amanda nodded once. "I see. Then I must inform you that I am now very annoyed indeed." The universal translator hummed again. "Significant displeasure, notable irritation." War Prince Scarth clapped his hands together. "Notable irritation, I am terrified." But across the ship, every alien crew member suddenly felt cold. The Nexari engineer flipped, noticed that Maintenance Chief Bobby Clark had stopped humming. The silence was somehow worse than any alarm. The Kriganti security guard Thok saw that Ryan Cooper had finished his exercises and was now sitting perfectly still, just waiting. In the communications center, Lisa Park's fingers moved over her console with machine-like precision. She was no longer checking systems. She was preparing them for immediate use. "All human ships," she transmitted on a coded frequency. "Stand by for combat operations." Science Officer Quilp accessed the ship's computer database. He searched for information about human emotional responses under stress. What he found made his tentacles curl with fear. "Captain," he whispered to Zethkar, "I have been studying human behavioral patterns. When most species become angry, their voices get louder. Their movements become wild and uncontrolled." "Yes, this is normal," Zethkar replied quietly. "But humans are different, Captain. When humans become truly dangerous, they become quieter, more controlled. The database shows that human military forces are most effective when their emotional regulation is highest." Zethkar's crystal body flickered with understanding. "You mean—" "I mean that Dr. Torres is not showing weakness. She is showing the behavior of a human preparing for war." In the conference room, Amanda walked back to the communication panel. War Prince Scarth watched her with amusement. "Calling for help, little human? Begging your masters to save you?" Amanda did not answer. She opened another channel to Admiral Morrison. "Admiral Morrison, this is Dr. Torres. Final report, sir. The Drakari delegation has threatened direct military action against human colonies. They have refused all diplomatic solutions. I am currently very annoyed and approaching upset." Morrison's voice came back immediately. "Understood, Torres. All units, our diplomat is approaching upset. Repeat, Dr. Torres is approaching upset. All ships prepare for immediate action." War Prince Scarth had been listening to the conversation. "Approaching upset? What does this mean?" The universal translator worked again. "Moving toward moderate emotional distress." Scarth laughed one more time. "Your translator makes you sound pathetic, human. Moderate emotional distress will not save your colonies." Amanda turned away from the communication panel. She looked directly at War Prince Scarth. Her voice when she spoke was calm and clear and terrible. "War Prince Scarth, you have made a serious mistake. You have confused human politeness with human weakness. You have mistaken our diplomatic efforts for fear, and you have threatened the safety of human civilians." She paused for one heartbeat. "I am no longer just annoyed, War Prince. I am officially upset." The universal translator rendered this as mild emotional disturbance, but every alien in the room suddenly understood that the translation was completely wrong. The moment Amanda said she was upset, everything changed. Admiral Morrison's voice crackled through the communication system. "All units, this is Morrison. The human diplomat is upset. I repeat, Dr. Torres is upset. Execute Omega Protocol immediately." Throughout the star system, space itself seemed to come alive. Ships that had been hiding behind asteroids suddenly appeared on sensors. Vessels that had been running silent powered up their engines. The new frontier dropped its stealth field and materialized directly behind the Drakari fleet. War Prince Scarth was still laughing when his own ship's alarms began screaming. Commander Vex grabbed his communicator. "Command ship, report." "Thieu?" Voice that came back was filled with panic. "War Prince, we are surrounded, human ships everywhere, they came from nowhere." Scarth's laughter died. His yellow eyes went wide. "Impossible. We detected no human vessels in this system." On the main display screen in the conference room, Captain Zethkar activated the external sensors. What they saw made everyone freeze. The Drakari fleet of 12 warships was completely encircled by 43 human vessels. Cruisers, destroyers, frigates, and support ships formed a perfect tactical sphere around the enemy formation. "How?" General Court whispered. "How did they get so close without detection?" Amanda stood with her hands still folded behind her back. Her voice was perfectly calm. "Humans are very good at being quiet when we need to be." The tactical display showed the human ships in formation. Each vessel was exactly where it needed to be for maximum effectiveness. No wasted movement, no gaps in coverage. The Drakari fleet was trapped in a cage of steel and plasma weapons. "This is Admiral Morrison of the Human Colonial Defense Force," came a transmission across all frequencies. "Drakari vessels, you are completely surrounded. Our diplomat has informed us that she is upset. You now have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and surrender, or we will demonstrate why upsetting a human is a very bad idea." War Prince Scarth stared at the display screen. His confident sneer had vanished. "This is some kind of trick, some kind of illusion." "No trick," Amanda said quietly. "You threatened human colonies, you insulted human diplomacy. You chose aggression over cooperation. This is the result." Science Officer Quilp was frantically checking his sensors. "Captain, the readings are accurate. 43 human ships, all of them armed, all of them in perfect attack position." Engineer Boomthak studied the formation with professional interest. "This is not possible," he rumbled. "No fleet can coordinate this precisely. The timing would have to be perfect." "Human fleets train for this," Amanda explained. "We call it the Shadow Protocol. Every human ship knows exactly where to be and when to be there." Commander Vex was shouting into his communicator. "All ships, battle stations, prepare for combat." 20 seconds, Admiral Morrison's voice announced calmly. "War Prince." Scarth looked around the conference room desperately. Captain Zethkar was pressing himself against the wall, trying to stay as far from the Drakari as possible. Science Officer Quilp had wrapped all his tentacles around a support beam. Even Engineer Boomthak, who came from a warrior culture, looked terrified. "You cannot do this," Scarth said to Amanda. "We are diplomats under Galactic Council protection." Amanda tilted her head slightly. "You stopped being diplomats when you threatened civilian colonies. Now you are just targets." 15 seconds. The Drakari command ship tried to break through the human formation. It fired its engines at full power, attempting to ram through the line of human vessels. 3 human destroyers moved to intercept without any apparent communication between them. They blocked the escape route perfectly. 10 seconds. General Court fell to his knees. "Please, we surrender. We surrender." 5 seconds. War Prince Scarth's pride finally broke. "Wait! Stop! We yield!" "All Drakari ships, this is War Prince Scarth. He shouted into his communicator. Cease all hostile actions. Power down weapons immediately. We surrender to the human forces. One by one, the Drakari warships shut down their weapon systems. Their engine signatures dropped to minimum power. The mighty fleet that had threatened human colonies just minutes before now sat helpless in space. Surrender acknowledged. Admiral Morrison's voice replied. All Drakari vessels will maintain current positions. Any ship that moves without permission will be destroyed. Amanda walked back to the conference table and sat down. She smoothed her diplomatic uniform and folded her hands again. Now then, shall we discuss those trade agreements? War Prince Scarth collapsed into his chair. His hands were shaking. How? How did your ships move so quickly? How did they coordinate without communication? Human military doctrine is based on preparation and timing, Amanda explained. When a human diplomat reports being annoyed, our fleets begin moving into position. When the diplomat reports being upset, they execute the attack plan. Commander Vex stared at her. You planned this from the beginning. We planned for the possibility, Amanda corrected. We hoped it would not be necessary. Diplomacy is always preferable to force, but humans learned long ago that peace requires the ability to enforce it. Science Officer Quilp approached the table cautiously. Dr. Torres, I must ask, in human emotional terminology, what comes after upset? Amanda smiled for the first time since the negotiations began. It was not a pleasant smile. Angry. When humans become angry, we stop taking prisoners. The Drakari delegation looked at each other with terror in their eyes. Fortunately, Amanda continued, you surrendered before I became angry. This means we can still negotiate reasonably. She activated her datapad again. The holographic display showed the same trade proposals from hours before. Now about those mining rights in the Kepler sector. I believe a 60-40 split would be fair. 60% to humanity, 40% to the Drakari Empire. War Prince Scarth looked at the numbers. Hours ago, he would have rejected such terms immediately. Now they looked generous. Acceptable, he said quietly. Excellent. And, regarding shipping arrangements, human vessels will carry Drakari goods at standard commercial rates. No special discounts, but no premium charges either. Agreed. Wonderful. Finally, regarding territorial boundaries, all human colonies will remain under human control. The Drakari Empire will establish no military bases within 10 light years of any human world. War Prince Scarth nodded quickly. Of course. Completely reasonable. Amanda made notes on her datapad. I think this has been a very productive meeting. Admiral Morrison, you may stand down your forces. The Drakari delegation has agreed to peaceful trade relations. Copy that, Dr. Torres. All ships return to patrol positions. Well done, everyone. As the human fleet began to disperse, Captain Zethkar approached Amanda. Dr. Torres, may I ask a personal question? Certainly, Captain. Are you still upset? Amanda considered this carefully. No, Captain. I am no longer upset. The situation has been resolved diplomatically. I am simply annoyed that it took so long. Captain Zethkar's crystal body chimed nervously. And how long does human annoyance typically last? Amanda gathered her datapad and stood up. Oh, we have very long memories, Captain. Very long memories indeed. 3 hours later, the trade agreements were complete. War Prince Scarth signed each document with shaking hands. Commander Vex and General Court sat quietly in their chairs, no longer making threats or demands. The mighty Drakari Empire had become very cooperative very quickly. Amanda reviewed the final contracts on her datapad. Everything looked perfect. Mining rights, shipping lanes, territorial boundaries, all clearly defined. Both sides would benefit from the arrangement. Of course, humans would benefit more, but that was what happened when you started a negotiation by threatening to destroy colonies. I believe this concludes our business, Amanda said pleasantly. The Galactic Council will be very pleased with these results. War Prince Scarth stood up slowly. His legs were still unsteady. Dr. Torres, may I ask you something? Of course. When you said you were annoyed, were you planning this response from the beginning? Amanda folded her hands and considered the question. War Prince, humans have a saying, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. We always hoped you would choose cooperation, but we were ready if you chose otherwise. Your ships moved so precisely, the timing was perfect. This was not luck. No, it was not luck. Human military forces train constantly for situations like this. When diplomacy fails, we are ready to move immediately. Commander Vex leaned forward. But your translator made it sound like you were only mildly irritated. Universal translators work poorly with human emotional language, Amanda explained. Most species express anger with loud voices and wild movements. Humans become quiet and controlled when we are truly dangerous. The translator cannot understand this difference. Science. Officer Quilp had been taking notes throughout the conversation. Dr. Torres, for future diplomatic missions, could you help us understand human emotional terminology better? Amanda smiled. I would be happy to help. Captain Zethkar, may I suggest that the Galactic Council create new protocols for human diplomats? Captain Zethkar's crystal body chimed agreement. What kind of protocols? When a human diplomat reports being annoyed, treat it as a serious warning. When a human reports being upset, treat it as an immediate threat. And if a human ever reports being angry, Amanda paused. Well, let us hope that never happens. Engineer Boomthak spoke up. Dr. Torres, in my culture, warriors respect strength. Today, humans have shown great strength. The Drakari Empire will remember this lesson. Good, Amanda replied. But remember, we prefer cooperation to conflict. Strength is only useful if it protects peace. The Drakari delegation prepared to leave. War Prince Scarth stopped at the conference room door. Dr. Torres, will this incident be reported to other species? The successful trade negotiations will be reported, Amanda said carefully. The methods used to achieve them will be included in the official record. Scarth nodded grimly. He understood. Word would spread throughout the galaxy that threatening humans was a bad idea. After the Drakari left, the alien crew gathered around Amanda. Captain Zethkar was the first to speak. Dr. Torres, I must apologize. We did not understand human behavior under stress. We thought you were showing weakness. No, apology necessary, Captain. Humans are still new to galactic politics. Other species are still learning about us. Science Officer Quilp waved his tentacles excitedly. This information must be shared with all diplomatic corps immediately. Human emotional responses are completely different from standard patterns. I agree, Amanda said. But perhaps we should be careful about how we share this information. What do you mean? Amanda looked out the window at the stars. If every species in the galaxy knows exactly how human emotions work, they might try to avoid making us annoyed. That would be good for peace. But some species might try to make us annoyed on purpose to see what happens. Engineer Boomthak laughed, a sound like rocks tumbling. Any species stupid enough to anger humans on purpose deserves what they get. Perhaps. But it would be better if everyone simply chose cooperation from the beginning. Over the following weeks, word spread through galactic communication networks. The story grew with each telling. The Drakari Empire, known for their aggression and military might, had surrendered to human forces without firing a single shot. A human diplomat had used the word annoyed, and an entire fleet had appeared from nowhere. At the Nexari Trade Academy, Professor Zilp taught new diplomats about human emotional terminology. Remember, students, when dealing with humans, quiet voices mean danger. Loud voices mean emotion. Learn the difference or face the consequences. The Vorthani Crystal Council issued new guidelines for their ambassadors. Human politeness is not weakness. Human anger is not expressed through volume. Treat human diplomatic warnings with extreme seriousness. Even the aggressive Kroganti War, chiefs updated their tactical manuals. Human fleets appear invisible until they choose to attack. Human coordination exceeds all known standards. Avoid conflict with humans unless absolutely necessary. 6 months later, Amanda was assigned to another diplomatic mission. This time she would negotiate with the Zephyrian Collective, a proud species known for their stubborn independence. The meeting took place on a neutral space station. The Zephyrian delegation consisted of 3 tall, blue-skinned beings with silver hair and cold eyes. Their leader, High Counselor Nexus, had a reputation for difficult negotiations. "Humans," Nexus said dismissively as Amanda entered the room. "We have heard stories about your species. Exaggerated tales, no doubt." Amanda sat down and activated her datapad. "High Counselor, I hope we can reach mutually beneficial agreements today. The Zephyrian Collective needs nothing from humans. We are completely self-sufficient." "I understand. However, joint ventures often benefit both parties, even when neither side has immediate needs." Nexus laughed coldly. "Joint ventures? Humans are too new to this galaxy to offer anything of value." Amanda's smile remained perfectly pleasant. "Perhaps, but we have learned much in our short time here." The negotiations continued for 2 hours. Nexus rejected every proposal. He insulted human technology, human culture, and human intelligence. His advisors supported him with sneering comments and dismissive gestures. Finally, Amanda set down her datapad and folded her hands. "High Counselor Nexus, I must inform you that I am beginning to feel slightly irritated." The room went completely silent. Nexus stared at her. "Irritated? What does this mean?" But his advisors were already reaching for their communicators. Word had spread throughout the galaxy. Everyone knew what it meant when a human used emotional terminology in diplomatic meetings. "High Counselor," one advisor whispered urgently, "perhaps we should reconsider these proposals." Nexus looked confused. "Why? She only said she was irritated." "Sir, with respect, I suggest we review the Drakari incident files immediately." Within 10 minutes, High Counselor Nexus was signing trade agreements and apologizing for his earlier comments. The Zephyrian Collective suddenly discovered many areas where cooperation with humans would be beneficial. Amanda returned to her ship with another successful negotiation complete. Admiral Morrison contacted her for a status report. "Torres, how did the meeting go?" "Very well, Admiral. The Zephyrians agreed to all our primary objectives." "Any problems?" Amanda smiled as she looked out at the stars. "No problems at all, sir. I only had to mention being slightly irritated. The rest took care of itself." Morrison chuckled. "Word travels fast in this galaxy." "Yes, sir, it does. I think humans are going to find diplomacy much easier in the future." And throughout the galaxy, species that had never met humans began updating their diplomatic protocols with a simple rule. When a human says they are annoyed, find out what they want and give it to them immediately.